Right now, the battle over jobs. What is this economically beleaguered state doing to create them, and how much taxpayer money should be spent? We'll hear the debate from both sides of the aisle. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Face the State. Connecticut has been mired for some time in the neighborhood of 9% unemployment, and there appears to be no end in sight or reversal. This week, the governor has called a special session to talk about jobs and a controversial deal to bring a bioscience lab to suburban Hartford. And with us today to talk about this are two members of the General Assembly. For the Democrats, State Representative Jeffrey Berger of Waterbury, and for the Republicans, State Representative Sean Williams of Watertown. And gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks, Dennis.
You're welcome. When your constituents say to you, the economy is so bad, is there any way the state can create jobs? What do you tell them, Representative Berger?
Well, I tell them that October 26th is going to be part of the start of that. And being Chairman of Commerce and Representative Williams sits on that committee with me, our charge is every session to work towards that goal. You know, we've had a tough economy in the state of Connecticut. People are in trouble. So they look to their leaders, both in the State House in Hartford and certainly in Washington, where it's become a little bit more difficult to try to make a difference in their lives. And it's the simple little things that we can do that will make a difference.
And this is a one-day special session, so by the end of the day, we'll have a plan to create jobs?
Well, we've had that plan. We've had that plan. This is a ramped-up plan, and the governor's been engaged fully in it, traveling across the state of Connecticut, listening to manufacturers, listening to people in the communities, listening to state representatives, listening to committee chairs within both caucuses to come up with a concerted plan that really starts making our way heads up towards making a difference in job growth. And whatever we can do, the steps that we make now will affect us now and 5 and 10 years into the future.
Representative Williams, is this a bipartisan plan or a Democrat plan?
Oh, I think for the most part it's bipartisan. I have to give the governor and some of my colleagues on the Democratic side of the aisle, like Representative Berger, a lot of credit. We, sort of came together realizing that we had to do something, and we recognized that if we, rehash all the old battles, then it's going to be a polarized debate. So, we decided, what can we work together on? Where can we find some common ground? And I think that's all very, very positive. And I give the governor and many of my colleagues a lot of credit for making it a bipartisan effort. The problem is that we had 6 months to deal with the job creation in the state of Connecticut, and we didn't do it. And on the last night of the session this past year, in the first week of June, the governor said, okay, we're going to come back in October and we're going to focus on jobs. Well, if you followed the last campaign, and I know you did very closely, everybody talked about job creation. That was the #1 priority. And if we didn't do it in those 6 months, then nobody should expect that we're going to make a massive splash on October 26th. Having said that, we are supportive of many of the initiatives in the compromise. I think it's going to be positive, but it is certainly not the be-all and end-all to job creation. Government doesn't create jobs. We can just create an environment where jobs can be created, and we haven't done that in the past. I think we're going to take a little baby step to do that in next week's session, and I think it's positive.
So walk about the Jackson Labs deal for a little bit. So they're coming in from Maine with they will create 300 jobs at that facility. It's going to cost about $1 billion to build it, I understand, and the state will chip in $300 million. What do you think of that? Good deal or a bad one?
It's very exciting. Let's put it that way. I mean, the things that they're doing in the areas that they're working in are nobody can argue with that. It's very exciting. However, the state of Connecticut is looking at putting up $292 million. That is all of our skin in the game. And what we learned today is that Jackson Labs puts up very little skin in the game. They actually generate a lot of their money from research grants and things like that. I likened it earlier today in a committee meeting that we were in. If I went out and got married and I said, I'm going to go buy a car now with all the wedding gifts that I received, I didn't put any skin in the game. I didn't go into my checkbook. I'm just doing it with money that other people gave me. That's a very similar situation. So, the fact that we're going to create a few hundred jobs, that's great, but at what cost and when does it end? This is not the New Deal, or it certainly should not be the New Deal. We shouldn't be taking all these government resources and trying to prop up businesses. We should be creating an environment where we can allow them to do it on their own. And I agree with the Representative Berger. We've done some good things in the past, but we've had the most stagnant job growth in the United States, and that's because of our tax structure. That's because of our regulatory environment. Talk to any small business owner, and they say, you guys are killing us. Every time you pass a regulation, it affects us. Whether it's well-intended or not, it affects us, and it affects job creation. So, we're propping up these businesses with a sort of corporate welfare. I know we have somebody from Occupy Wall Street here today. Go talk to the guys on Main Street. Those are the guys that are suffering, and they're suffering because of what we've done, and in some cases what we haven't done. Well, I certainly think that there's a lot of things. This was not a well-negotiated deal, in my opinion, and furthermore, we had a lot of questions that went unanswered today and have gone unanswered in the past. That doesn't mean that somebody's trying to hide from us or trying to hide things from us or there's something sinister going on, but yeah, they have assets in the state of Maine. I think that they should kick in more money. The question should be asked, why did Florida not go for this project? Why don't they go to a private lender or to some other venture capitalist or something like that? And those questions went unanswered all day today.
A big industry in our state, and that is casino gambling. At Foxwoods and Mohegan, as you know, Massachusetts is charging toward legalizing gambling, which once 4 casinos open just to the north of our state, is going to take a big hit out of the money that our state gets from the 2 casinos here. What's the solution? Do we expand gambling here?
Yeah, well, I think certainly if we could look at the compact agreements, it would be wonderful to open those up and maybe look at our revenue structure on the revenues obtained by the state of Connecticut from the revenues at the casino gains.
By one account, I read that the state could lose $1 billion.
Yeah. Well, it's
to Massachusetts casinos.
It certainly will be a drawdown on what the potential income to the state of Connecticut is. I think it's something that we need to look at. It could be a possible terms of negotiation in the future.
So in terms of, you would like to see more money from the 2 casinos or perhaps expanded gambling in other parts of the state?
I don't believe that under the current pact that we can expand gambling.
Yeah, you can, but you want to open that up again.
If we could, we might want to look at that to create a free market enterprise.
Okay.
I don't think any of this is an issue if we're creating an environment where there's a lot of small businesses who are creating jobs. For us to rest on casino gambling or any particular industry, any one industry, put all our eggs in one basket, that's bad news. Enron folks got in trouble because they didn't diversify their portfolio. We don't have a diverse portfolio of jobs and businesses in this state. So, whether or not, I'm a libertarian in many free market regards. I think people should be able to create jobs and create businesses at their will in a safe and efficient manner. But for us to say, well, we got to put another casino in Bridgeport to prop up our economy, that doesn't say a whole lot about the state of Connecticut if we have to prop up our economy with a casino gambling initiative.
But so what would your plan be to compete with 4 new casinos just north of the border?
If somebody wants to open it, we want to talk about opening up the pact. I'm open to talking about that, but I don't want to rest our laurels on that issue. I don't think that's where we should be focusing our energy. I think we should be focusing our energy on the real creators of jobs, small businesses, 50 and under, and that's the way to do it, not with casino gambling.
State Representative Sean Williams and Jeffrey Berger from Waterbury and Watertown. Gentlemen, thank you so much
districts. Thanks,
for
Dennis.
being with us.
Right.